At no point in the Fourth Republic has the Nigerian legislature generated so much odium and public concern as during the 10th National Assembly. The Assembly has gravitated from one low to another in the course of its about 2 years so far, from making what many saw as jests of the groveling poverty of the mass of Nigerians, to the seeming flippant and superficial attention to the core task of making sound laws for the common good. The federal legislature, in conduct, character, and outcomes, has tended to be less than inspiring. It has been one issue of budget padding or frivolous spending to heighten concerns that the Assembly appears increasingly detached from and oblivious to the dire situation most Nigerians face daily. Similarly, while harmony and complementation are to be encouraged between the arms of government, it should not be to the detriment of the core dictates of checks and balances as to make the legislature seem non-interrogative and subservient in the matrix. Never in history has the legislature reduced itself to playing the campaign hype of an elected office holder, as was on display in the chamber of the 10th Assembly. The nation has also witnessed serial displays of impunity and excesses where, at the slightest reproach, the leadership resort to suspension of members for extended periods that render and place the representation of constituents on national matters in jeopardy. This is more so that such action is an apparent disregard for subsisting judicial and legal precedents based on the well-reasoned logic that such shuts out the representational function for the constituents being represented by the affected legislator. It is on record that between 2020 to date, there were about 11 definitive court pronouncements ruling as illegal and unlawful the suspension of lawmakers by their peers. Yet, in less than 2 years, 4 have been suspended in the Senate in controversial circumstances, seemingly based on whims and machinations that do not stand the test of reproach. This serial recourse to suspension in the midst of other conflict resolution mechanisms has further heightened concerns that the Assembly projects itself as being above reproach and accountability. Equally, while abuse of provisions for constituency projects had been exposed to scandals over the years, it seems to be taking the worst dimension in recent times. These and several other infractions are so bad that the leadership of the 10th Assembly was reported to have openly stated that, and I quote, "Court-declared senators are part of the problem," in an apparent snide reference to those who reclaim their mandates through court judgments. Rather than helping matters, such comments can be considered unbecoming, given that not only are a good number of those in the National Assembly products of judicial pronouncements, but also because court orders and judgments are based on laws that only the legislature have the statutory and constitutional authority to make. It is therefore incongruent for the legislature to be seen to deride and disparage the outcome of court rulings, the respect of which are critical components of democratic values in the form of rule of law. Amidst this, the greatest concern is the need to guard against and stem the continuous slide in credibility and public confidence in the legislature, in which many today see no succor nor hope. Allowing this concern to deepen or any further erosion of the standing of the National Assembly with the public is dangerous and adversarial to democracy, constitutional order, participatory governance, and by extension, national development. Much are at stake when the legislature is constantly in ridicule and distracted. dysfunctional, and does not evoke public trust, respect, credibility, and confidence. The legislature, at whatever level, should be a fertile space for robust and persuasive engagements based on logic, knowledge, strength of character, conviction, and principles to advance public interest, and not a docile theater for frivolous, laissez-faire politics of no value. Whatever it takes, the 10th Assembly must take legitimate and transparent actions to redirect its bearing based on thorough understanding of its responsibility to stay on the compass as the veritable bastion of order, upright and elevated conduct, rule of law, participatory democracy, and good governance. The National Assembly must redeem its status in the critical balancing between the three arms of government beyond its prevailing climate of chaos and controversies, ridicule and diminished credibility, reduced public trust, and worst of all, a dent in its responsibility to make appropriate sound laws for the common good of all. Making sound laws is its sacrosanct and cardinal duty. It is time the National Assembly redirected its campus. And that has been Liberty News editorial.